This is Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things that are most important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire fun and frivolity show. Although my body told me all day long it's Monday, in my mind I knew it was Tuesday, and that's why I didn't forget to do a show this evening, and I'm glad we didn't. However, if you've never found the show before, you have no idea to get in contact with me, and you don't know how to follow the show, here's how you do all that stuff.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, a what will be second-time guest. If you are somebody who is ever increasing your backyard living area, if you're thinking about putting in an outdoor kitchen or some of those modular pieces that you're seeing pop up, just saw on cookoutnews.com that Blackstone is now bringing products to the backdoor market that aren't just cookers. They are modular living pieces, shelters, plus some really expensive high-end griddles that they're making. So keep an eye out over at cookoutnews.com. If you're not visiting there often every week, you are missing out on all the great information, which is why we have Wes Wright on this show once a month to keep you up to date. But not to get off track, the person joining us at 9:14 is the creator of perhaps one of the most efficient and best used patio heaters on the market, Tyson Traeger from Wood Pellet Products and woodpelletproducts.com joins us once again on the show. So we will talk to him about the product, how it has changed since the last time we talked, going on 4+ years at this point, what it's like having Traeger as your last name, and if that's dangerous being around any type of pellet product. Are you inviting lawsuit? Have there been lawsuits? And then we will talk about some of the new, we're saying modular pieces here this evening for some reason or another. He has modular pieces that will go on top of the standard patio model heaters that he has. So I believe you take the chimney off, and you know what? I'm going to talk about it like I know, and it's best to get all the right information from the folks that's doing it, and that's Tyson Traeger over there. So you can not only get heat and be comfortable in your outdoor living space as you're cooking outdoors, but you can actually use it as a cooker or different types of cookers, which we'll find out here shortly. 35 past the first hour, we'll be joined by what many consider to be the leading authority when it comes to hamburgers, not only across the nation, but probably across the globe. Our pal George Motz rejoins the show. And tonight we talk about something that I hadn't thought George was even interested in. Not that I know him extremely well, but reading books and watching his documentaries and other films that he puts together and his YouTube channel. It had never occurred to me, although now that I'm thinking about it in my head, especially during the pandemic times and what he was doing in Brooklyn where he lives, that he would be considering doing some type of restaurant. And that's what we're going to be talking about with George tonight. The opening soon of Hamburger America in New York City. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be exciting talk, especially if you have plans over the summer to visit New York City. That's probably going to be a place you want to stop in and get a George Motz hamburger. How many people can say that? And then we'll move to the second hour where we'll be joined by a pair of guests all at the same time. You know him as Barbecue Bob Trudnak, and you know him as Big Moe Cason. That's Bob Trudnak and Moe Cason. 14 past the second hour and probably 35 past the second hour. Plenty to get to with these two guys. You know, the last time I had Bob and Moe on at the same time, it was a number of years ago. Bob was in Warminster, Pennsylvania, and Moe was on a shipping vessel trying to do the interview. I mean, to say it was a disaster would be an understatement.
Get that big stuff out of here.
We're going to hope that it's a little bit better this time. I believe Moe is in Iowa in HQ, so there is a really good odd that he will sound way better than he did probably 3 or 4 years ago whenever we tried to pull that one off. But Bob and Moe were both in Memphis in May, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And they have the Bob and Moe the Bob and Moe barbecue show that they teach classes with, and a number of other items to get to as well. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. I say good evening to those of you watching the show tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook or Twitch/BBQ Central Show. Also, you can watch it on YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And, of course, we have a new YouTube poll question of the week. And I'm asking you and all guests this evening, did you eat at least one hot dog yesterday? And 71% of you are saying, oh, no. That's shocking. That's shocking. However, I fall into the 71% as well. Not even one glizzy passed through these discerning lips. And you know, I'm a guy that might enjoy a boiled hot dog, which will see me in the 10th circle of hell whence I reap my ultimate demise. So says Stephen Reichlin on the show. But I did not have one hot dog. We did have a large pack of hot dogs just in case, but it never came up. We had ribs. And we had money muscle, only money muscle. We'll get into that too. And by the way, if I might, there's a guy, no names please, who works for a butcher shop right here in downtown Cleveland. Well, a little bit outside of downtown Cleveland. No names please. Who, just when I think my ego is pretty big, this guy on any number of occasions has no problem deflating it easily. Here's a guy that has ample opportunity. Hey, I got your order. I'll drop it off. You're on my way home. All right. And then magically, I'll either get a text or this time around, my daughter comes in and says, hey, the meat guy just dropped the stuff off. I'll go run out. Say hi to him. Thank him for the service. No. Vamoose. He's gone. He doesn't even want to say hi to me or you should really go to the shop and pick it up yourself. It's like a ghost. I don't even know if he really exists, except I know he exists because I've seen him in person. And then I try and get a little bit of an exchange going over text message on this money muscle and how I got to trim it up to make sure I'm getting the right pieces out of it. Zero context, zero text messaging. Zero text messaging with this guy. And the most crucial elements in time, it's like he's forcing me to do it on my own. Meanwhile, he's bringing the most controversial products to market, trying to sell into the competition barbecue circuit, in specific KCBS. But he's bringing the most controversial products to market, and he won't give me a text message. He doesn't want to say hi to me or hold 30 seconds worth of conversation for me to at least express my thanks. No, he's got no time for me. No time. People fly into Cleveland to hang out with me. He's 5 minutes away and won't give me a fine how do you do. I'll take your money. Here's the meat. Don't want to see you. Have a good day. What a fine how do you do. So fine, if you want to play like that, I'll just keep giving you my money, and I don't have to see you. As a matter of fact, I might prefer it that way anyway. Give me my food. Jason in New Jersey is writing in on the show. Wow, thank you for answering the foil boat question on the show last week with the embedded correspondence. It was even more than I could have hoped for. 3 different and measured responses. I love John so much. In a quote, nope, not doing it. And then Rusty laid out why it makes sense to him. And because of him, I will try that this summer. And Doug was more in line with what I was thinking. Either way, I will throw out all my aluminum pans regardless. Thanks, Greg. You're the best. I have the Chris Young interview queued up for the ride home today. Looking forward to the steak conversation. Big fan, big fan. Regards, Jason. We're here for you, Jason, and everybody else. If you have a live fire question that you would like to get asked to the embedded correspondence, or I have a guest coming up, whatever. Just let me know. I will be sure to try and work it in, if at all possible. But in this case, Jason asked a question last week. We had the embedded correspondence. We talked about the foil boat that Chud likes to do. There you go. Jason, I am of service. Tyson Traeger, hopefully, will be joining the show here after we get done talking about our pals over at Pits and Spits, because they have the best looking, best cooking smokers and grills. Pits and Spits offering a full family of products, including traditional offset smokers, wood pellet grills, charcoal grills, travel grills, combination grills, fire pits, and much more. Pits and Spits has been one of the only American fabrication shops that's focused on smokers and grills for almost 40 years. Why is that important? Because they're able to put an emphasis on quality and design, locally sourced materials, and unmatched attention to detail, from the fully welded barrels to the heavy gauge steel. They bring both function and beauty to life. Pits and Spits builds every product with the intention that it gets passed down for generations to come. It doesn't matter if you're a competitor or if you're just a backyard ham and egger like me. It raises the barbecue and grilling game to that next level. In fact, maybe 2 levels above. There is a product for you. Don't worry about it. Go to the website, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. Again, that's pitsandspits.com, all spelled out, and that's a double T on the pits and the spits. pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. And then, as you're checking out, if you've accumulated $500 or more, BBQ Central at checkout for a free spice pack. Yeah. Once again, that's BBQ Central at checkout for a free spice pack. If you accumulate $500 or more at order, that's through accessories or cookers or a combination of all that. Just don't miss out on the free stuff. That's what I'm asking. pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central show. And hopefully we have Tyson Traeger coming up here shortly. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We are back. Holy moly. My recorder just turned right off. Holy crap. Well, I'm not sure what happened there. However, We will continue on and hope that my recorder does not change as we continue on. I am not seeing Tyson Traeger. We'll just check in here. Tyson, are you there?
Hello, Greg. Can you hear me?
Wait, you are there, but I don't see you.
I've reconnected. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
All right.
All right. Does your camera not work?
I don't know. It says it's on.
All right. Well, I
I
don't.
got you. Hold on. You got to pop it up.
Ah, there he is. Look at this guy. All right. Now,
Hey, bud.
let me give you the proper introduction as I was going to, except the black box had me all freaked out and I didn't think you were there. My first guest this evening continues to bring his unique product offerings to the outside patio heater market and outdoor cooking market. I ask you this, do you suffer from chilly evenings or days for that matter, and the propane umbrella thing that you have isn't giving satisfaction that you so deeply crave? Well, we just might have the solution in this segment as we race to the hotline. And welcome back our pal and the founder of Wood Pellet Products, Tyson Traeger, is joining me here on the show. Tyson, before we get going, because we know you're there and we can hear you, we're asking the YouTube poll question of the week, which is the following. Have you eaten at least one hot dog yesterday? Yes or no?
No, I failed.
Wow. Well, currently 71% have not eaten or did not eat a hot dog yesterday. Not even 30% have. I also was in your camp, Tyson. I did not have one hot dog yesterday. I had ribs. I had money muscle. I had no hot dogs. I did have some in the chamber just in case the opportunity needed to present itself where I had to make them, but it didn't. So we didn't. Anyway, for the folks that are new to the show since 2018, that was the last time you were on. Are you able to give me that quick genesis of how the product came to be and when you officially got into business?
Yeah, it's easy. I was cold. I was a teenager. My grandfather had come out with some gravity-fed stuff in the past. It was an orchard heater. I took that with me motorbiking out with some buddies. We hadn't any plans on where we were going to sleep, but I knew I had heat. And we lit it up, and the thing, it would get hot for like an hour and a half, and then it would jam up. It was like a funnel. It was a vertical funnel system. And they built multiple products around this system. But if you did not have a stick with you, you would not have continuous heat. But that was my entry into loving the ability to go into the outdoors, light something up without having the electronics necessary, and be able to provide what was necessary, which was warmth to sleep. So here I am. As soon as I graduated college, I went off and went into that sales world with the barbecues, and I got so many tools in my pocket from that alone. So yeah, I think the right thing for me to do was travel on down that path. You got so many. The diversity of wood pellets, Greg, is unbelievable.
No.
So.
How dangerous is it for you to operate a business around any type of wood pellet product with the last name of Traeger?
Well, going into small business itself is risky. Going into small business with the last name Traeger is probably the dumbest thing you could do. But that's kind of, if you know our business and you know who we are and what we do, we're innovators, we're trailblazers. And so what? So what if my name's Traeger? It's the past that's had given me the opportunity, and then the drive with the need for these products is what creates my innovation and drive. There's nothing like this stuff on the market. That's why we're winning.
When I think of outdoor patio heaters, maybe 10 or 12 years ago when I call them the umbrella liquid propane heaters. So maybe you could convert them into natural gas, but usually you got a tank. Yeah. It looks, kind of aesthetically pleasing. The heat comes down and it gets the top of your head pretty warm. The rest of your person is neglected, and people thought that was
an idea.
People thought that was the greatest thing, and they were all over the place. Restaurants have them. A lot of the backyards have them, so on. So when you talk about the timber stove, how is it different, and what's the biggest difference, I guess, between that and what other people would know as that patio heater?
It's kind of like, relating things to, I would say a couple decades ago, that that whole diversity of outdoor heat, it doesn't really include anything in regards to warmth. Most of it's ambience. Those umbrella heaters, that the whole purpose of this heater is to keep you warm. Well, if correct me if I'm wrong, but heat rises, and if we put the heat at the top of our head, it's not going to make its way all the way down to my feet. Well, I don't like being cold. I get cold hands. My hands don't work, and for me, it's a necessity. So it's real easy. Put the fire on the ground where it belongs, make it rip, make it work, and make it work so I don't have to go around and mess with it.
Do you have a thermodynamics background, or you just a fire lover and you've harnessed what you've gleaned over the years and you were able to put it into a product that works?
I don't think that would do it. Honestly, I got all these young guys working for me, and the thing that they're going to walk away was better than a master's degree. They've got that firsthand experience of trial and error. And that's the magic behind what we're doing. We can watch people come around and make other products and try to be like us, but they ain't going to be able to do it. And it's because we're hands-on. We're making this thing and we're trailblazing our own path. And by the time somebody else tries to reach us, I mean, we're already on the other island and getting on a new boat for the next island. So it for us is really, it's a neat thing to be able to make this product here in the States because it allows us to create that innovation.
Do you have a lot of different products in the portfolio or models?
Yeah, I'm an innovator, so you're going to go through lots of products. Not all of them stick around. I've made a camp stove. I've made all kinds of ovens. For us right now, we are killing it in the patio heater game. We are changing how people are able to spend their time outdoors at night. And that's my mission right now. My mission is get that thing outside, and the rest will follow. So I don't think there's any doubt that I'm not going to come out with some kind of cooking appliance. I've already done that. The griddle is a necessity. You can see it all over the board. Everybody's got it. Everybody's making them. They don't work like ours. They don't run without powder. They don't run without gas. Ours is all wood pellet driven with no draft, no auger system, no nothing. But the whole thing about new products is we're makers of good fire, and the difference between our fire and what everything else is offering out there is the BTU output, the ability to get continuous heat from that fuel source, the wood pellets. That's the benefit of this thing. It's kind of like I like to refer people to how when you start a campfire, you're using a lot of kindling. And what you're doing there is you've got a lot of surface area, and that's how you're able to get a lot of heat out of our product. Now we have to dial these things in and take all those variables into consideration, the fuel air ratio, and yeah, you'd think that I have some kind of engineering degree in wood pellets, but it's experience, Greg. It is decades of hanging out around the right dudes, people that know what they're talking about, being in the barbecue world, knowing what people want. I think the thing that separates me the most is I listen to a lot of people around me. I've had a lot of good leaders before me that have been successful, and a lot haven't been successful. And I'm going to talk more about that, with people instead of what the things we've accomplished. I'm going to talk about the things that we've been through. It's the adversity that breeds that innovation.
So that's a good dovetail into the genesis or the continued genesis of the company. I remember when we had you on 4 or so years ago, you were just kind of breaking in, getting that name out there. Then you have a pretty significant item happen in the shop where basically because you are somebody who was playing with fire, that thing that you're playing with literally, no pun intended, sparks up and burns you literally as it burns down the whole shop. So, I mean, I've talked with barbecue restaurant owners that have pit rooms, and they always tell me it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that pit room is going to catch on fire. So what do you remember about that day, and how were you able to recollect everything and decide, hey, we're either going to quit or we're going to continue to pick up the pieces and forge ahead?
Well, obviously it was a surprise to me. To correct you, the neighboring building is what caught fire. and then spread to our building. So yes, I did say to myself, when is the day going to come when this thing goes up? We're welding in there every day. As a small business owner, you're trying to be resourceful. You're trying to keep your rent low. We were in a building we shouldn't have been renting, and it still didn't matter. It was the neighboring building that caught fire. It burned everything. I got nothing out of it. Insurance does what they do, which is, screw you over. And we ended up with nothing. And it embarks us down a path that I will forever be thankful for, Greg. Light my building on fire if I'm a business owner, because what business is understanding adversity. It's understanding what you're going to do to survive. Survival is what it is. I don't know how many businesses out there are just killing it. All right. Business is a freaking survival game. And if you're not good at that, you're going to die. And so for me, that was the same thing. Okay, well, I've been dying for the last 8 years before that building caught fire, 9 years. And all that did was just lit a fire underneath everybody else around me. As a business owner, as a leader, they will follow you if you lead them. And the very first thing I did, Greg, was I got back to work. So fucking what? My shit burned down. The year before, the summer, I'm sure you guys heard about those Oregon fires that swept through and burned down millions of homes, right? Just millions of dollars and tens of thousands of homes. It was ridiculous. Well, I just looked at it as, well, that could have been me. And a lot of people up in that canyon got screwed too. So what? What are we going to go and do from here? Greg, we were making product in 6 weeks. I will take that record from here on out. 6 weeks later, circumstance, blessings, whatever you want to call it, the stars were aligned, and the machinery that I had already been purchasing to grow the business unexpectedly was already on the way, right? It's in a freight truck on the way. We're talking $20,000 roll form machine that makes our stovepipe. Press brakes we bought on eBay. All this stuff came together. Again, if you know how to survive, you're going to be able to pick up real quick and get going. And we did, and we killed it, Greg. If I didn't, that was October 9th of the fire. We basically would have had that season gone if we didn't, and I would have been dead in the water. So had to. There's no looking back. It's only survival. And I still feel that today, even though we're really successful now and we're killing this game. You have to think like that. If you don't think like that, you don't get to innovate.
So now you're thriving through adversity. You're turning out some great products. As someone who had seen them from afar, I got firsthand experience in like the best and the worst way possible. We're at the HPB Expo in Louisville, and they have a big outside exhibition, and it's brutal outside. It's 30 degrees outside one day. It's colder the next. And who's got the most popular outside booth, aside from people that are giving out food? Well, they're grabbing the food, and they're going to the timber stove setup, and everybody's huddled around the 3 or 4 or 5 units that you have going, and you can feel exactly what you're reading about actually happening to your person. And if it didn't work, those people would not be hanging around. They'd be going inside, or they'd be trying to find the next fire that was lit. But there was so much population to stay warm because it was frickin' cold. Are you happy that it was that cold outside and you could really showcase the product against everybody else?
No.
Yeah, right.
People don't go outside when it's that cold. There's a window for us in sales. It's funny with our heaters, the majority of use is in the summertime. Our largest sales come in the fall and winter. It's just how it works with the product category, but it's definitely good for use. Temperatures above 30 degrees, below 80, right?
Yep.
Don't turn the thing on when it's 80.
On top of the great stoves, we have now innovation, as you've been talking about. What I saw at HPB was you had a flat top modular piece, or I don't even know what you would call it, but talk to me about how it works and how you actually go about installing it.
Yeah, it's a simple modular piece. It swaps onto the stove, onto the patio heater. You pull that stovepipe off. You put that griddle or pizza oven on top of the stove, and you replace the stovepipe. And now you have a fully functional pizza oven or griddle. That's, for us, it's a necessity because you have the heat. You might as well be using it.
And it doesn't, if you have the griddle top on or the pizza oven, you're still getting the warmth around you, and then you can actually dual purpose it, use it as some type of a cooking vessel.
That's correct. Some people just leave those appliances on the heater, and then they buy another heater, for the other appliance. We've also got a new burn box that allows you to use these cooking appliances without needing the use of the stove. So I've invented a new cooking appliance that allows this modular ability, interchangeability of these different appliances. So you go to our website, check it out, but this interchangeability of these cooking devices, it makes it very simple to take and cook something one way, or different from what you're trying to do on a griddle. As far as into a pizza oven, it's two different worlds. So, for us, it's this ability to kind of cover a full range of a kitchen because we have the heat. So, if we're gonna make best use of our product, it's not necessarily just adding something on there too. I mean, these appliances, they're doing things that other appliances aren't doing. This pizza oven that we manufacture in the cooking world, something I've learned over the last 20 years is indirect cooking is probably the most favorable way to allow somebody to cook something correctly. And so I've taken that concept and adapted that to this pizza oven. It's the only pizza oven out there that cooks indirectly. So being able to cook your standard Papa Murphy's pizza, or your store-bought pre-made pizza is available to you, as well as that artisan pizza that you're trying to make inside your house.
Tyson, last question before I let you go, and I appreciate the time. When you have the umbrella heater and the wind blows, the heat goes away. How does weather affect the wood pellet product?
It's downwind. Wind is kryptonite to all heat.
Yeah.
If it's not there in the first place, you're going to have a hard time filling it. So with our product being able to radiate more heat than any other product on the market, you're going to at least feel it as you stand a little bit closer to it. So, being able to at least stay comfortable instead of cold, I think that's a better scenario than being cold.
Take a look at the website, woodpelletproducts.com. Look at the heaters, look at the modular pieces that you can get. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can contact them through the website, or if you have questions for operation, great support and all that stuff. It's Tyson Traeger. Tyson, always appreciate the time, continued success, and we'll do it again before the next 4 years elapse, I promise.
Yeah, I've already had a couple kids since then, Greg. I think we need to do it a little sooner.
We will do that. Appreciate the time tonight, Tyson.
Thank
That's Tyson Traeger, woodpelletproducts.com. And as somebody who, look, I'm as conscious as the next guy, right? So you see the price tags, you shudder a little bit, and then luckily, and by happenstance, I'm at that expo. It is freezing cold outside, and he's set up, and it's not overly windy there. It was just brutally cold. And you're standing there, and you can feel that heat from the floor all the way up that pipe. It's radiating. So as far as does it work? Yeah, for the price. Are you going to buy one? If you're into that kind of thing and you don't want to suffer through the inferiority that is what everybody else uses, that propane thing, this is one you might want to take a look at. Plus, the build is great. You know it's going to last forever. And it runs on pellets. You can just get heating pellets cheap. All right, that's Tyson Traeger, woodpelletproducts.com. George Motz is ready to go here, so we'll talk to him here in just 1 second. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. And we love that they can get rip-roaring hot for the high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, Getting a 2-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. And a Primo grill and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute that 2-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. So when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to cook on the Primo cooker. You're only limited by your culinary imagination. And if you like accessories, because we all do, they have plenty of them, like the Primo Grill rotisserie accessory, the Primo Grill pizza accessory, half drip pans, full drip pans, rib racks, the whole deal. Go to the dealer nearest you. That's where they're sold. PrimoGrill.com. Find a dealer or follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And here are the bottom lines. Best ceramics in the biz, patented technology, true 2-zone cooking capabilities, and multiple sizes of ovals. Go check one out. Find the best oval for you. Take it home. Watch all the videos. You're good to go. PrimoGrill.com. And we're back with George Motz right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Tyson Traeger for joining us last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring. Or connect via Bluetooth if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home. You're in luck because Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Use the old-school Fireboard over the weekend for those pork money muscles. And the analyze portion is just great. Oh, it's so good. Hey, my next guest is an Emmy award-winning filmmaker and founder of the Food Film Festival, author of the travel guide Hamburger America, the Great American Burger Book, and was hailed by the New York Times as the leading authority on hamburgers. Did I mention he's also a Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Famer? That's right. Here to talk about a brand new venture that's coming to his hometown of New York City this summer, our pal George Motz. George, before we talk about all the new stuff, we're asking everybody the YouTube poll question of the week, which is this. Yesterday, did you consume at least one hot dog, yes or no?
No.
Wow. George, would you believe that 85% of the YouTube voting public are also in agreement? 85% are saying no, they did not have at least one hot dog yesterday. I'm also in that camp. Did you have some ready to go or just didn't even think about it?
Well, to be totally honest, I had a hot dog the day before and I had a hot dog today. So
on the day we're talking about, though, we have zero hot dogs. All right, good. So,
sorry, no hot dogs.
Would you ever eat a boiled hot dog?
I'll eat hot dogs any way. I love hot dogs in any shape or form. Oh, yeah. No matter what. I mean, some toppings are questionable, but without a doubt, I love hot dogs.
Well, one time I told Steven Reichlin that I might enjoy a boiled hot dog from time to time. I remember growing up, my mom would boil hot dogs, get the water boiling, turn it off, drop the hot dogs in, 8 minutes later, come back, and they're perfectly cooked, whatever. I mean, might as well told him I thought his son was ugly or his wife was a whore or something because he told me, and I quote, there's a 10th circle of hell for people like you. So,
wow.
FYI, never mention that you might like a boiled hot dog to Steven Reichlin if you ever cross paths.
I will not talk to Steven about hot dogs at all, I guess.
I guess not. So, the biggest news that I've seen in the world of George Motz recently was that you're going into the restaurant biz, set to launch early summertime. So let's first talk about how this project comes about or is pitched or the fruition of it. How does this happen?
Well, for starters, I like to tell people that I'm not an idiot. I'm opening a restaurant because I'm not an idiot. And the reason I know I'm not an idiot is because I'm not a restaurateur. And what I did was I got friends of mine involved who are the restaurant people. I'm not a restaurant person. I mean, I know a lot about hamburgers. I just don't know exactly how to open a restaurant. And anybody who thinks that they can open a restaurant without having any knowledge whatsoever, they need to have their head checked for sure.
So you have, let's call them business partners. They're more on the restaurant side. So are they coming together to you and saying, hey, I don't know if these guys also have, common interests outside of coming to George Motz to talk about a hamburger restaurant? Do they like bang on your door one day and say, hey, George, me and this other guy are interested in collaborating with you specifically on a burger joint? Or are they saying, hey, we want to do something with you, but we don't know what we want to do? Let's spitball. How does that work?
I had a lot of people knock on my door. I mean, through email, obviously, and say, you need to open a restaurant. You're ready. We can help you. We can provide all the support. And I said no to every single one of them simply because I didn't know them. I didn't understand. I didn't know if I was going to get screwed. I didn't really know what they were talking about. I didn't know how to get a lawyer, how to get a restaurant attorney involved. So I went to some friends of mine who have a restaurant group in New York City called Schnippers, the Schnippers Group. They first opened Hale and Hearty Soups, which you probably know if you're in New York. If anybody who's in New York knows Hale and Hearty Soups. But then soon after they sold that business, and then they built Schnippers Restaurants, which is a small chain of hamburger and salad and chicken sandwich restaurants mostly in Midtown. It's a great success, the story. And I went to them and said, you're a great success. Do you have anybody in mind who could help me do this? And they said, oh, we'll do it without missing a beat. I think they saw what I was doing. I had already built a brand. And they said one of the hardest things to do is to build a brand. And for their restaurant group, which is a success, to tack onto a brand and grow together is really where it was at. And this is exactly what we're doing. I have the brand, they have the restaurant acumen, and the two of us together, three of us actually, the Schnippers brothers, all three of us are gonna take it to the next level for sure.
So I've had many conversations over the years with barbecue folks, and some of them are gentlemen and ladies that are full-blown opening up their own restaurant because they are, unlike you, a restaurateur. Maybe they know the business, and that's how they're doing. However, recently, like in the last, let's say, 8 to 10 years, barbecue has become very in vogue, or they have this name. For instance, the guy in the second hour, Moe Cason, is a big name. So folks are asking him all the time. This other guy on YouTube, Sam the Cooking Guy, not necessarily a barbecue guy, but pretty successful on YouTube. They're doing, let's call it licensed deals. Is this more of your type of relationship where they're coming and saying, hey, George, we want to leverage your expertise on burgers. We want to leverage your brand/name. And you're going to get a percentage of the gross every month, and we'll put a contract together for 5 years, and then after 5 years, we'll take a re-examine on that? Or are you all three invested in stakeholders with equal shares of money in to get this project off the ground?
I wouldn't say equal shares, but we're definitely all invested together, put it that way. And it's not a license deal. I'm not just giving them a piece of the business and we have a set time to do this in. Not at all. We're trying to grow the business together. Our plan is to open one unit and get it perfect, make it absolutely perfect, and then go on to consider opening up more. We've already told we have also a group of investors involved, and we told them as well, the plan is to only open one. Don't get excited about an entire chain. But I tell you right now, if this thing works out, which I think it will, there'll be an entire chain.
So let's talk about putting the menu together and getting a spot. I don't have any idea what it's like to get real estate in New York City, but the common thought would be A, hard, B, very expensive. So how does that whole process work?
Those are both very true things, hard and expensive, for sure. But the reality is that we know in New York City, you can also do very well. You can be a success as long as you do it correctly. And this is, I think, why this union is going to work between successful restaurateurs who they're New Yorkers for life. They were born in Brooklyn. They have all their businesses have been in Manhattan, and they know what they're doing. They understand who to speak to, how to speak to them, and how to get things done. There's no question about that. So I'm in really great hands with these two guys. And a third friend of mine is also a childhood friend of mine is the lead of the investor group. And so he's the liaison between me, the restaurateurs, and the investors. So we have a very nice working group that's going to make this thing happen. But the reality is it is expensive for sure. And also we were so screwed by the timing of the pandemic. In a way, we were lucky because we were looking at real estate during the first phase of the pandemic. And then all of a sudden we were shut down. We had to stop everything, stop looking at real estate, stop even talking about it. And we stopped for about 8 months before we got back on our feet and started talking about what the next steps are going to be. So it's probably been almost a 5-year process now, but mostly, 2.5 of those years are probably because of the pandemic. But in that time, the real estate market completely flipped on its head and changed in New York City. We were looking pretty much only in Brooklyn. We thought we'd be in the hot new spot in Brooklyn, but something happened. There was it's hard to explain right now, but there's a real estate snafu that happened during the pandemic that took the neighborhoods we were looking at and just jacked them up to way too high out of our price range. And we actually the buildings that we found that were in our price range were in Manhattan.
Whoa, no way. Not
Brooklyn.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
We were looking in the hottest neighborhood of Brooklyn, which was Williamsburg. And in the time span of 5 years, especially in the last year of looking at real estate, it went from being, a really good deal to the hottest, literally one of the hottest commercial property zones in the world in Williamsburg. It was crazy.
So Midtown it is. Concept of the restaurant. I assume you have a lot of idea here.
Well, hang on.
Right?
No. We're actually in Soho. We're in Soho.
Soho, right? Okay.
Neighborhood.
The name is going to be Hamburger America. Easily arrived on, name wise.
Absolutely, that was easy because I have my first foray into the world of hamburgers was a film I made called Hamburger America. I made a guidebook to great hamburgers in America called Hamburger America. That is about to be a fourth edition, a fourth updated version now after all these years. The book's been around for almost 20 years now. The film is now 22 years old.
Wow. Menu wise, what are we looking at?
Menu is very simple. We're looking at actually the drink menu maybe larger than the food menu, but we're keeping it very simple. It's true. We have very strange, oddly, someone pointed out to me, they have a very strong milk program going on because we have milk. We're going to have chocolate milk. We're going to have egg creams. We're going to have mocha milk, which is a combination of coffee syrup and chocolate syrup. We're going to have coffee milk, which is a Rhode Island specialty. We're going to have Yoo-Hoo. We're going to have one beer on the menu, which is we're going to have Miller High Life in a bottle. That's it. It's beer and wine license, so we're not going to go beyond it and have hard alcohol. We're not trying to open a bar. We're opening up a burger joint. But it's going to be a classic, 12-stool counter with about 35, 40 seats in the back. And the idea is you walk up and get a seat at the counter. It's a big warm hug. You feel good when you walk in the place. You're in the right spot. And you're there for either a 5-minute meal or you're there for half an hour, whatever it is. We're going to treat you right. We're building a griddle right in the counter so you can watch the food being made right. I can talk to you when I'm making the burgers right there in front of you. It's going to be a lot of fun. But the menu is going to be pretty much 3 burgers. The burger of the time, which is the Oklahoma fried onion burger. We're going to make a classic smash burger, which is only going to come with pickles, mustard, and onion. And then we're going to have a rotating burger of the month special where I bring in one of my hamburger heroes from around the country. Say I bring in the Kewpie the olive burger from Kewpie in Lansing, Michigan, or I bring in the green chili cheeseburger from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then I bring them in for the weekend. We fly them in. They make burgers right next to me, side by side. We keep the burger on the menu for the entire month.
Wow. George Motz joining us here on the show, georgemotz.com, by the way, if you want to check out some of the stuff that he has done. We talked about I did want to follow up on is milk, I say it weird, I'm sorry, milk, whatever it is. Milk. Is it do you associate that with burgers? Like, why so many milks?
Well, there's 2 reasons. One is that we're not going to have milkshakes on the menu.
Okay.
So there was a concern that there's no milkshakes. What are we going to do? But chocolate milk is the answer, I think. I'm also a huge fan of chocolate milk. I love chocolate milk. I love it in all shapes and forms. And also the first time I had my real out-of-body hamburger experience was at the Apple Pan in Los Angeles. And for whatever reason, it was midnight on a Friday night in LA, my first time in LA, and I ordered a burger with milk. And since then, I've always associated, for some reason, the classic cheeseburger with milk.
Once the place is open, people will be coming in droves. What's the expectation for someone coming in to try Hamburger America that they will see George Motz in this establishment?
Very good. I would say I plan to be there as much as humanly possible. I do have other things I have to do. We're working on another TV show. I've got a book deal. It's another book deal that's happening. I will be doing other things for sure, but I'll be out there promoting the restaurant and getting people to come to the restaurant, but I will be there as much as humanly possible. That's the idea. I mean, we are building this griddle. At one point, even the architect referred to the griddle area in the front as George's stage. Oh, because it'll actually be my place to pontificate and talk to people and customers about hamburgers.
Is it a certain manufacturer that you use for this griddle, or is it just some commercially available one that you have experience with?
Both actually, commercially available Vulcan. I mean, I've tested and worked with a lot of griddles in the past, and to me, the only real standard for me is the Vulcan. A lot of restaurants like to use the higher end mirror cleans and that sort of thing, but they don't actually. For the burger I make, the onion burger, you cannot use a fancy ass griddle with the burger that I make. It just burns the onions. It doesn't cook the same way. I need a classic old school diner flat top, which is the Vulcan.
For the backyard warriors here, and of all the brands that you've tried, what do you find to be the best freestanding residential griddle to get right now?
Unquestionably, the Camp Chef. Camp Chef makes the sturdiest and the most reliable flat top I've had, and I've used them all. I've used all the flat tops out there. Some I won't even mention a name because they were kind of embarrassing. They fell apart on me. But I'll tell you this much though: the Camp Chef, without a doubt, they supply me with they like the fact that I like them. They've been supplying me with griddles for a couple of years now, but they don't have to supply me with a whole lot because I'll tell you right now, the one that we kick the crap out of and use pretty much at least twice a week right now doing pop-ups is still running. The same exact one, the first one they gave me. I cannot get over. I mean, that thing has probably seen 40,000 burgers in the last 3 or 4 years, easily.
You can't keep these in stock on the website, but tell me why I would buy a $236 George Motz Smashula spatula.
Because you love yourself.
Yes. A lot.
That's why. The Smashula is unlike anything else out there. It's
like, but why?
It's 1 pound.
Help me with that.
Why? Sure. I know the price seems very high. The price point is not ideal. It's also not ever available because they're made by hand in a very tiny shop in Argentina.
The demand is there. So, I mean, you're doing it right. No doubt.
I know. The demand is definitely there. People say, how can you do this? Well, I don't really need to worry about it because I sell them at a rate of about 1 per minute.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. So once if we have 50 units available and they show up at our house at the Moe's Burger headquarters right here, they'll go out at a rate of 1 per minute. We'll sell 1 per minute. It's unbelievable. Even if people will still complain, I can't believe it's that much money. I said, well, the problem is that we've gotten away from the real cost of making things, I tried to make this in the U.S. and I could not get it made for anything less than $300 per unit. Just by hand, because each one is made by hand. It takes about 5 or 6 hours. They're all hand polished. They're also, when you get it, it has your name on it. Has your name is etched on it in black acid ink. It's perfect. It's an heirloom. It lasts forever.
As far as the cooking aspect of it, I mean, does it have some benefits that you wouldn't get from a also ran product, or I got a $19 circular maiden press or whatever the fuck it is. So, I mean, is it?
Yeah.
Will it give me a better cooking experience?
Okay, so those the bacon weight style smashers, those are actually new on the market. They're not something that have been tried. They're not tried and true. They haven't been tested for decades, and that is, I would say, it's a new thing. There's no question about those. Definitely work well. The difference is that the one we've designed, the Smashula. It's a real spatula, and it's designed to look and feel like the old school spatulas of the day. In fact, if you really want to, if you want a Smashula and you can't afford one, you don't want to pay for that much money, do what the old school guys did, which is to go and get a brick trowel, the big triangular brick trowel, and just cut the tip off. Seriously, just cut the tip off, sand down the edges, and you've got the space of the same thing. And I'll tell you that's historically accurate. If you were to take a bricklaying trowel and cut the tip off and go make burgers, you're in line with what people do historically.
Wow. What size ball should I be using for a smash burger, weight wise?
Weight wise, I think that you shouldn't go over 3 ounces. If you need more beef than that, then you make a double. And if you make a double, then you have 4 sides of Maillard reaction and the beautiful taste.
Last question. Once you've executed the smash and you pull the Smashula or whatever you're using to get there, how should it be looking on the flat top before you make the flip?
How should the actual surface of the burger look?
Yeah.
That's a great question. With the smash burger, if you actually create it correctly, where you've got that nice lacy edge, the edge will start to curl up a little bit, and that's how you know it's ready to go. But you can also, if you look at the burger, if it's still pink and looks like it's still cold, it's not ready yet. But whenever it starts to get this liquid starts to form on the top of the burger, that liquid is actually all of it's really rendered fat that is trying to escape the heat by going up. And that escaping heat is your clue to turn it over and trap it. Trap the heat, trap the juices.
Do you have a preferred temperature on the flat top, whatever it is, whether you can set it thermostatically or if you're just kind of guessing and shooting with an IR thermometer? Where do you like to cook at?
Sure. Somewhere around 400 is great for a regular smash burger. But when I cook onion burgers, I actually cook it a little bit lower, closer to like 325 for an onion burger, because you don't want to. 325 is enough to get a good sear on the burger and get the lacy edge you want. But at the same time, when you flip it over and you have the onions on the other side, it won't burn the onions. It'll actually caramelize the onions and cook it just a little bit slower so it cooks in that beef fat and tastes incredible.
Toasting buns, yes or no?
It depends on the burger. Onion burger, I do not toast because I like to do something called letting it ride, where you take the crown of the bun and you put it down on top of the cheese you've just put on once you flip the burger. And then on top of that, I put the heel. So now you've got the crown and the heel stacked up. They're letting it ride, and the steam, all that steam is going up, and it's grease-filled steam, and it's helping to flavor and soften those buns. In that case, yes, I won't toast. I will not toast the bun. But for most burgers, I would say, yeah, it's a pretty good idea to toast a bun.
Wagyu beef, a waste of smash burger or a delicacy?
Well, a complete waste, of course, because, I mean, honestly, Wagyu beef, I mean, what are you trying to do?
Last weekend was just a waste. I thought I was doing something special for everybody, and I was a waste. Damn it.
Sorry to say. I mean, honestly, no, you can make a great burger, but you're really spending so much money. You're spending way too much money to get the same product as just adding a little bit more fat. Good fat, really good fat. You can probably go with dry aged cuts and dry aged fat, basically, and get a much better flavor at the same thing you're trying to achieve than actually spending that kind of money. Also, it kills me to people trying to do that because you're grinding up a perfectly good steak that you really should just be sliced thin and dipped in soy sauce, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes,
raw,
indeed.
eaten raw.
Indeed. So, special occasion, trying to throw caution to the wind, and indeed, that worked very well. Caution was right to the wind. Yeah. So, look, here's the bottom line. We're going to keep track of the Hamburger America, the restaurant, opening here on the show, and we'll pass along any updates as you see fit to give them to me to pass along to the Centralites. And if you're going to be in town after this opens, George and I both encourage you to stop by, and I would love to hear your feedback. If you have the burgers, we'd share that on the show as well. So, George, we wish you great success on this new adventure and appreciate your time this evening with all the information.
Thanks for having me on.
You got it. There he is, George Motz, right there. GeorgeMotz.com. See all the books and the films and the other swag and products that he's offering right there. And, man, great info, especially right at the end, rapid fire. So if you were just getting into the smash burger scene, like I've known about it forever. I just started getting into it in the last 2 months, 3 months. And I hate to tell my oldest daughter, bad news, we're never getting Wagyu beef again because George said I'm wasting my money. I waste enough money on you already, kid. I'm not going to do it on the ground beef. 80-20, come back to me. That's right. All right, we are going to step away. We'll come right back and wrap the first hour. So stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank George Motz for joining us last segment, talking about the smash burger, but more importantly, talking about Hamburger America, the restaurant that's going to be opening up that he is invested in. He's got some partners. He's also got a liaison to the investor side of things, doing a lot of business there on the front end of that segment, but then learning a lot about smash burgers, a copious amount or a wide selection of milks. I think I say milk sometime, like M-E-L-K, but in show mode, it's milk. I said it right, but I was confusing myself. Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue, The Arby's Wagyu burger is so fucking good. Is it? Is it? I've had it, and we all know what they do. They warm it up in the grease, which I'm not necessarily anti, but they don't cook burgers there, so forget it. All right, we're going to point to the second hour. Stick around, be right back.
This is Maddie Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
Oh, listen, Liberty, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Yeah, just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central show where we talk about only the highest level of important items that have taken place over the past week or 2 weeks, month. Whatever the news cycle is like. If it's still here week after week, there's a good chance we might be talking about it till I've had enough with it, or it leaves the news cycle. The show coming to you from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on the show this evening, Bob Trudnak and Moe Cason. We say good evening to those of you watching the show tonight through one of the video streaming platforms that we provide for you. You can go to Facebook or Twitch/BBQ Central Show to watch. Also, you can take in the show via YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And of course, we do have the new YouTube poll question of the week. Did you eat at least one hot dog yesterday? And current tally, 81% of you now are saying no. I fall into that 81% as well. So did George Motz. So did Tyson Traeger, if you can believe it. So 3 of us right here on the show this evening had no hot dogs, although George did mention that he had a hot dog today, and he had a hot dog on Sunday, but he did not have one yesterday on Memorial Day, and neither did 81% of the voting public. 19% of you said, oh, yes, you have had, or you did have at least one hot dog yesterday, making it a glorious Memorial Day. And again, I had full package of wiens ready to go, but nobody asked for it. A couple of the kids went to some other party. I was in rib rack cooking mode and money muscle cooking mode. And I've never cooked a money muscle. Like, it was just the money muscle. But we'll get more into that in the next segment or two. This wasn't me cooking a pork butt and then like sectioning off or paying most attention to the money muscle. This butcher shop in Cleveland does retail out just the money muscle, if you can believe it. No names, please. Rule number 1 of the show. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. This coming Friday, episode 284, taking you back to June 7th of 2011. And being featured this Friday is a gentleman by the name of Jeff Stiff of Big Creek Barbecue. He's also one of the co-founders or the original co-founders of Operation Barbecue Relief. In fact, as you track back the history of the organization, the event that Jeff and I speak of during this coming show on Friday is really the jumping off point for what is now grown into a nationally recognized, very well-funded disaster relief organization. They go to areas that have been hit the hardest through natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes. For instance, the jump-off point for what ended up being Operation Barbecue Relief back in June of 2011, there was a string of horrifically deadly and destructive tornadoes in Missouri. Missouri? Yeah. Joplin, Missouri was the specific city that Jeff and I talk about. He had family in Joplin, and he had called Stan Hayes and said, hey, we got to put something together. And quickly through some social media postings and making some phone calls to KCBS and getting some other contacts that they were leveraging through their own professional sides, they were able to put together that first deployment of Operation Barbecue Relief. And now, 12 years later, it's hugely popular, hugely successful. And by successful, I mean going to those hardest hit areas and providing those hot barbecue meals for the people that need them the most, whether it's displaced families or first responders and rescue workers that are working that site. They're all there cooking up barbecue meals and giving them out to those people that need it. So if you haven't heard the origin story of Operation Barbecue Relief, you will at least get a very brief insight onto how that actually came to happen. Friday's the show you want to check out, so you can hear all about that very first operation and how it's grown from there. Also, don't forget, if you want to hear a guest or a segment again that's been lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you would like to hear. That's JON at thebbqcentralshow.com, JON at thebbqcentralshow.com, and let him know what you would like to hear. Don't forget, this coming weekend is the next installment of the All-Star Barbecue Series event. That's going to be taking place in El Paso, Texas. That's June 3rd, 2023. For more info or to register, you go to famousdaves.com/All-Star BBQ Challenge. In fact, I did get an email from Teresa a little earlier and asked her about, so I didn't get a team, no, I did. El Paso details are here. Where? Darn it. El Paso details attached. But it seems I don't have that. Oh, is this it? Details? Yes. So, it looks like Peter, oh man, Armendariz, along with barbecue all-stars like John Barton, Sean Hill, Christopher Sawyer, as they go head-to-head for ultimate bragging rights and the grand prize, $5,000 in prize money. So that's what's going to be happening June 3rd. And then the following week in Hermitage, you have Russ Lanham from Hog Feathers Barbecue, and then Russ Allen, Ken Wood, Stephen Tremaine, and Chan Whittington. Redbone Barbecue, Charcoal Cowboys Barbecue, Two Swine Crew, and Maggie's Farm, respectively, taking place in Hermitage on 6/10, but we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. There's this news story I'm getting emails on, but I can't responsibly talk about it, but it's coming in fast and furious, so I'll have to keep a tab on it. Email from Joe Bob in Ohio. Immediately, I'm suspect that that's even a real name of anybody, but we'll go with it. Hey, Greg, and greetings from a fellow Buckeye. I have been a big fan of the show for the past 3 years. In case you haven't mentioned it, or you forgot to promote yourself a bit, I would like to say that you and the embedded correspondents, not John, were 100% correct on the Barbecue Hall of Fame picks last week. Although I was disappointed that John's guess of the Barbecue Central show being awarded the Impact Award didn't come to fruition, better luck next year, and thanks for doing the show. Podcast listener only. Regards, Joe Bob. You are right, Joe Bob. Everybody but John, 75% of us, Rusty, Doug, and myself, were all 100% correct on guessing who was going to make it into the Barbecue Hall of Fame this year. Darren Worth is in. Flora Payne is in. Sweet Baby Ray is in. And Bad Byron Chisholm from Butt Rub is in as well. There were Legacy Award members. And there was also an Impact Award winner. The Impact Award winner was the Barbecue Forum. Ray Basso, the site administrator. That's what they used to call those people when they had barbecue forums. I would know. I was the site administrator for the Barbecue Central forum before there was even a Barbecue Central Shows podcast. And I had been long in the corner of Ray Basso getting into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. And they felt that he was deserving of the Impact Award because then there was a whole bunch of other contributors to the forum that make it what it is. But certainly you can't look past the importance of the barbecue forum in the world of barbecue, and that's why he got the Impact Award. So that doesn't, let's not take away from the fact that Doug, Rusty, and myself, again, 100% accurate on our pick for who was going in. We know what's going on. We have our finger on the pulse. By the way, Joe Bob, if that's your name, I just spoke with Doug Scheiding earlier today, and he told me, look, I don't know if you're a fan of the show or not, Joe Bob, or if you listen to all this stuff, but you would recall there was one segment with Doug where he, unabashed, mentioned that he routinely has raccoons in his house. Not on his porch, in his house, because he has cats that are 50-50 cats, and he puts he's got one of those cat doors or doggy doors so the cats can go in and out of their own free will. That's a mistake. But he has had no less than 13 raccoons in his house. So he told me earlier today he is now 13-0 in getting cats out of his house, or I'm sorry, in getting raccoons out of his house over a span of 22 years. I don't even think I've seen 13 raccoons in my whole life, let alone take 13 out of my house. Out of my house? Doug, really? What can I do to get you to agree to take out the cat door in the house? Having had 13 raccoons in your house isn't enough? This is outrageous behavior. It's troubling. This might be the new YouTube poll question of the week, or at least what I'm going to ask Mo and Bob. How many raccoons have you had in your house? I know how many. 0 humans. Let me refresh that. 0 normal humans ever have raccoons in their house. Maybe 1 on accident. Not 13. Come on, Doug. You're better than that. Looks like Mo and Bob are ready to go. We'll get to them here in 1 second. Before we do that, I'll talk to you about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. A curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything on the website has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. They have something for every type of outdoor cook. You know, Big Papa has 13 perfectly balanced flavors of seasonings and rubs. Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Double Secret Steak, Little Louie's Seasoned Salt, some of my all-time favorites. Of course, they own Granny's barbecue sauce as well, so if you're looking for a new go-to sauce, you might want to give Granny's a try. Great by itself out of the bottle, or great as a base sauce if you don't mind tricking it out. Also, if you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-Star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you're not sure of what grill you need, call them, right? 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Ask all the questions you want. They'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need. Or shop the website, bigpapasmokers.com. Let me spell it, BIGPOPPA, smokers.com. We're back with Big Mo and Barbecue Bob right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. Whether you're a beginner or professional, it doesn't matter. Definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. My guests in the second hour, 2 of the most recognizable names and faces in the biz, both highly accomplished competition pitmasters. They are sellers of their own lines of rubs and sauces and other products. They teach cooking classes as a tandem, and one of them is a 2021 Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer to boot. We welcome back the friends of the show, Moe Cason and Bob Trudnak, right here on the show. Gentlemen, appreciate you taking time here this evening. Before we get into a bunch of nonsense and live-fire tomfoolery talk, let's do the YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. And I'm shocked by the results here so far, but we're going to see where you guys read. Big Moe, yes or no, did you eat at least one hot dog yesterday?
Yes.
Yes. All right. You are in the minority. 19% are saying yes to this question. Bob, at least one hot dog yesterday or no?
I had a hot dog with onions, relish, mustard, and a touch of ketchup on it.
Wow, a touch. Just a smidgen of ketchup. All right, 81% of the YouTube voting public, now 82% are saying no. They did not have one hot dog at all yesterday. I also fall into that group as well. Though I had a huge pack of Schweens. But nobody was asking for them, so it was just ribs and money muscles, and we'll get to that here in just a second. All right, let's get the hard stuff out of the way first, and I preface this question by saying this. Only answer with the information you either want to, are legally obligated, or comfortable sharing, because there were a few posts, if you're catching on social media, that there was a restaurant venture that Bob and Moe and somebody else were involved in, and it appears that deal is now dead. So, Bob, let me start with you. Anything that you can share on that front before we go to Moe?
I don't want to dwell on it, but just in a nutshell, I will say that Moe and I were approached by a partner investor in Texas. We did our due diligence. We had meeting after meeting after meeting. We thought it would be a great idea with the given partner. And to our surprise, it didn't go as planned. And they backed out, and we are no longer doing a restaurant in Texas.
Moe, do you agree with that?
I concur.
Moe, is that disappointing? I mean, look, you've been on this show before. We've talked about potentially, Moe getting into the restaurant game in some form or fashion. Is this a disappointment for you?
No, this is actually, it works out really good for Bob and I both. I got some pretty good street skills and common sense, and so does Bob. And there were some things early on that was letting me know that Bob and I are playing chess, and these folks are playing tic-tac-toe. And so right then and there, I was just like, yeah, man. And there was things that were supposed to be done that weren't done. And I just knew right then and there, before we get our hands tied up in a lot of money and a lot of things, it was better to cut ties so that we can go ahead and do what we need to do. And it was the best thing. We came out smelling like a rose, man. So it was really good, man.
Bob,
in hindsight, this was a blessing.
Yeah. Were you disappointed up front, though? I mean, you guys seem to spend a lot of time talking about how excited you were. You were spending time in Texas. Might have heard some talk of cookers getting down there. Things seem to be moving along in the we're going to get this thing open direction.
Right. Yeah, and for me, it was a couple moments of disappointment. And, Moe and I were together when, this kind of news broke, I guess you would say. And we talked through it with Mama T and Moe's wife, and it just things changed quickly for us to the positive. So,
all right, So that's the way it is. If anybody was wondering, or you were secretly hoping I was going to be asking this question, of course you know me. I'm bringing only hardballs, not softballs, bitches.
Yes, no problem.
So that's the straight answers from the guys that were involved with it. We moved to a week and a half ago, little competition called Memphis in May. I had Chris Lilly on last week. We were talking about his experience there. Before we talk about the individual competitions you guys were doing, teams you were either a part of or leading, I asked Chris directly. Moe, let me ask you first. This was a lead-up to Memphis in May unlike we've ever seen. In the off-season, you have a reconfiguration of Tom Lee Park. The teams that are typically there volume-wise are cut down. I've heard anywhere between 75 to 100 teams. There was all talks of weird deposits in alarming amounts at one point during the lead up to this event that luckily didn't end up happening. But I've never seen or heard so much drama over a lead into Memphis in May. Now knowing what we know, how did you find the event, and how did you find the space as a competitor there?
Well, I love, and I mean I love Memphis in May. It's my favorite cook-off that I do. There's nothing like it out there, man, in that type of realm as far as the competitors and just the ambiance of being on the Mississippi River, man. It just speaks to me, man. And when I put my application in last December, hearing, well, we kind of heard from the last year from things are going to be changing, and Tom Lee was going to be doing a lot of constructions and stuff, and so I had no idea exactly how it's going to look. I had a couple of my guys from Pensacola, Florida, go down to the team meeting down in Memphis because I couldn't make it, and they just reported back and said it looks good, looks nice. Now, granted, I think they were less, I don't know, maybe 40 teams than regularly. It's a beautiful thing that they did down there as far as aesthetically, visually, it's gorgeous. But it was challenging on getting pits in and out because they spent millions getting this place all beautified. And you got guys, the typical 40-foot trailers, that wasn't going to cut it. I had a 12-foot trailer, and I had no problem getting into my spot. But, if you had a huge trailer with smokers and a lot of these big get-ups like people have, that wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't. But we got ourselves in there, and we were not too far from the river. We had a beautiful shot of the river breeze. So, but I could see where it was difficult, man. Because by the time I got done wrapping up on Sunday, it took me almost 2.5 hours to get out because people are breaking down, and it makes everything tough. You guys got the loaders and the forklifts and everything. It just makes it tight. But I got to tip my hat off to Memphis in May, and I got to tip my hat off to the guys they have doing the McAfee rentals, whatever. Those guys running those forklifts, the articulate, man, them guys are pros. They were putting stuff in on a dime. It was incredible. So I'm always going to be a fan of Memphis in May, period. I love that contest. Just love the whole scene. There's people I don't see for like once a year, man. It's like family reunion, man. So I dig it, man. And I understand. I don't know what they're going to do about next year, because I just don't know how they're going to, I just don't know how it's going to happen. I hope it does. I hope it's back down to Memphis, down to Tom Lee. But it's going to be interesting to see how they recover from this as far as putting the money back in the park, because stuff does get tore up. You know what I mean? It's just you got 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks. You know what I mean? Smokers and trailers. That's going to take us some grass. I've seen a couple of little fence posts kind of get knocked over. That's just what happens, man. We got tight confines trying to do that. But I loved it, man. I just love the cook-off, man. And long as God allows me to walk straight and talk straight, and I can sit there and fire my pit up, I will be at Memphis in May.
Bob, what was your experience at Memphis in May?
Well, I kind of got off easy because Heath Riles and the team get set up on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't fly until Wednesday. So I was there for just some of the final, set up and clean up, getting the site ready. And Heath asked me to cook a couple ancillaries. So, I cooked wings in the beef category, and he had a wonderful team there, great group of guys and girls. And, so for me, it was just a great experience, but I didn't have to experience moving in or moving out.
Mo, let's go back to your big weekend, top 3 shoulder finish, a huge take at this event. So, you gave me your thoughts, just generally speaking, about the event space and all this. We'll talk about the predictions of if Memphis in May is going to happen next year here, and once we're done with all this. But give me your thoughts about the weekend's cook, and what does it mean to you, or where do you slot the third place, World Pork Championship?
Well, I'm going to tell you, man, this is my 7th year cooking Memphis in May. And I have to say it's the hardest cook-off you got to do, because not only do you have blind box you got to turn in, you got on-site judging you got to turn. I mean, you got 3 judges that come in 15-minute intervals, and you got to do the full dog and pony, man, to showcase your abilities, showcase your product, and talk everything about your team and how they cook these either whole hog, shoulders, or ribs. So I love that aspect of it. And I'm gonna tell you again, it was my 7th year, and I've been fortunate enough to walk the stage, I think 3 out of the 7 years, but it was like 5th, 9th, 7th, something like that. But to make finals, that is because basically your score is right there, either 1, 2, and 3. And my initial run, when looking at my score sheet, I was second by just 2/10, 3/10 from the initial run. So that means my team, we put it down. And I knew we had the counterpart Duroc shoulders. I put my injection, my seasonings, and everything that I make into that shoulder, man. And I had a great team of guys and gals from Pensacola, man. And they come down on their own dime every year. I know these cats. They know me. I'm not have to sit there, point fingers, and say, do this, do that. They know what they need to do. And every year it just gets better and better and better, and we're a smooth machine. And it showed. And I was just, but it's still a crapshoot. You know what I mean? You got the top pork cookers in the country there. So it's like, no matter how good you cook, if it's your time, it's your time. And it happened to be, it was my time. And it was emotional for me, man. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, when that golf cart come up, and I was in shock, to be honest. I knew I had great product, but there's a lot of teams around me that are cooking and got great product. You know, you're dealing with your Chris Lillies, your Toughies, your Sweet Swatter. I mean, you're dealing with some great teams. And when they came and gave me my sheet and said that I made finals, it was overwhelming for me. I had to sit down, and my buddy Tuffy came by, and he sat down with me, man, and I got emotional, man. I ain't gonna lie. I got emotional because we put in so much hard work and cooking, and I've done so many cook-offs over the years, and you just try to make it to the next level, man. And making top 3, that's making it to the next level, man. And that's, to me, that's a Super Bowl. I mean, there's some great cook-offs all around the country, big ones, but to me personally, there's nothing that rivals Memphis and May. And it was so emotional for me, man. I was so happy for myself, so happy for my team, because we put in a lot of work throughout the whole week. And to be at the end, walk that stage, there's nothing like, for me personally, walking the stage at Memphis and May. And I always wanted one of those Globe trophies, man. Always wanted that Globe trophies. And I finally got one, man. And it's sitting right next to me, next to my humidor right now. And I just, I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, all my other trophies, they're out in the garage. Oh, but this glove right here, it's sitting right next to me, Jack. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And I mean, I can't wait till next year. I mean, I was ready to cook the next day. I was ready to do Memphis and May all over. That's how motivated. I mean, it's those little things like that, having that opportunity, and I would still continue to cook. But I feel blessed, man. That's all I can say, dude. I feel blessed.
Were you running the same program there that you had run in years past, or are you constantly tweaking or bringing something new to the game?
Pretty much, you know, I test years for years, so you kind of know what's good. Now, what's sweet about it is that everything that I use in that hog, on that pork, it's right off the shelf. You can buy it at the store. But I have a certain blend that I do. My injection is not, it's more, I have a complex injection that I use. But I do use my good friend Heath Rouse's injection powder. But I have this thing that I've been doing for every year, because I know it's good and I know it works. It just happens to be presenting it right, cooking it right, presenting it right, and getting the right judges to see what you got to say. When I had the final judges come, that was what got me to 3rd place. Because when you go to finals, you could win the whole thing. You could be 1st or 2nd or 3rd. And I had awesome scores on my blind box. It's pretty much straight 10s. I had pretty much straight 10s on my on-site judging. And then I get the 4 judges coming in, and you got to go through the whole spill again. And you know, I'm going to give a shout out to. I'm going to give a shout out to the barbecue family. When I made finals, and Bob can tell you this because you got family, dude. Heath Riles, Sweet Swan of Mine. I mean, I can't even remember all the people that came down and gave a lending hand. They know that was my first time making finals. And they brought, Heath Riles guys brought down garnish. Man, illustrate, the boys come in, Delbert, my boy, they come in, help the pit, decorate the pit. You know what I mean? That's barbecue family, man. And that's because it's mad love I have for them, and they have mad love for me. And they knew that this was a big moment for me. And they came in, no questions asked, and just immediately started helping me out. And that's one of the many reasons why I love Memphis May. It's the family, dude. And I would do it to someone else. You know what I mean? And it was just awesome, dude. I'm just telling you, man. I don't know I'm bumping my guns, man, but I'm just telling you because I love that cook-off.
I'm getting emotional over here.
Bob, have you thought about starting up a team, being like the head cook and lining up a Memphis May team?
No, actually, I haven't.
Do you want to do that?
I mean, I don't know. Honestly,
it's a big investment.
I do a lot of. It is. It's a big investment. I do a lot of KCBS contests, and with the classes and everything else. I don't know. I'm kind of content cooking with the Heath Riles team. I love that group. I love being a part of that and what I bring to that team. But no, I'm not ready for it yet.
Let's get your individual thoughts on this item. And I closed the show last week. Would love your thoughts, Bob. The bigger win over the past 2 years is which one? Blues Hog in 2022 doing the whole hog on that big-ass drum, or Ribdiculous this year doing it with ribs, breaking a 21-year dry spell for that category as an overall winner? Which is the bigger win?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking outsider. I'm sure people would answer it differently, but I mean, it's a big win for both of them, right? It's exciting for both teams. What Blues Hog did was amazing last year, but to break that 21-year dry spell, that's pretty amazing. So I think the rib win is the.
You agree with that, Mo?
I gotta say, because in the history of Memphis and May, it's generally whole hog or shoulders that win the whole thing. You gotta have a bomb. I mean, flame on, hot magma bomb rib to beat out shoulders and hog. I'm gonna tell you, man, there's some great rib cookers out there, man. You're gonna have more better rib cookers than you will have shoulders or a hog. That's why you have more teams entering in this rib category. There's a lot of teams down there to cook some fire ribs. And I'm gonna tell you, man, to have a rib beat out a whole hog and shoulder, I didn't know what they taste like, but I know some of my friends that I know who got ribs first, like my boy like Heath and them guys back over the years. I can taste the rib and tell you, if this don't make top 5, something wrong. And I'm gonna tell you. And I didn't taste the rib, man, but I don't know but it had to be good.
Yeah.
It had to be good.
Pyro Pig Maniacs were the last ones to do it, and then I think everybody associates rib wins with when the legend Mike Mills was doing it at Apple City Barbecue when he did it, 2 or 3 different times. So,
absolutely.
Good. Would you say that over the last 2 years that the old guard of Memphis and May has been put on notice, Bob?
Absolutely.
Mo?
Put on notice. What do you mean put on notice?
Well, you have some new blood coming in, finishing in finals, winning in and overall. It's not the same group of people you see for the last 10 years. It's different folks now.
Well, yeah, that is. But, I mean, don't be sleeping on old cats, cuz. Because they come right there, man, and straight knock your teeth right down your throat. I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't ever think just because you coming up and you got fancy cooker and fancy name and you got bells and whistles that you're going to go. No. The most cats, man, they've been around. And maybe not their year. So I'm not going to say that, dude. I ain't going to say that.
Mo, give me a percentage on if you think, A, Memphis in May is going to be in Tom Lee Park, and then a percentage if you think Memphis in May is done for good.
Oh, Memphis May is not done for good. I mean, that would be tragic if that was the case. You got too much. It's ingrained in Memphis. It would have to go out back to Tiger Lane. You know, I just have a hard time in my mind thinking how they're going to have it back down in Tom Lee Park. Because, I mean, you got 150 teams with trucks and trailers, and they spent a lot of money on this park. I mean, trees, plants. I mean, it's beautiful. But just in my area, I look behind and I seen a truck take out 2 posts. And then I seen a truck crack the concrete. And you know all that got to be fixed. So it's like, you know, and that was just in the area that I saw behind me. So I don't know.
It's 50-50 then, or worse than 50-50?
I think it has to go somewhere else. They got to find another place that's got, you know, they just do, man. I just don't think how I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's 30% they take it back down to Tom Lee.
Bob, percentage that you think Memphis and May will be back in Tom Lee Park?
10%.
10%. Holy moly.
10%.
It's worse
10%.
than Moe. Mr. Negativity, Bob Trudnak, has joined the show. All right. Percentage that you think Memphis and May is done. This was the last year.
0.
I don't think it's done. I don't think it's done.
No?
Maybe they take a year off to kind of rethink it, or, you know, find a new location, new venue, but I don't think it's done.
No, man, it's Memphis and May, dude. It's like it would be, people would, hell no. Memphis and May ain't done.
Well, remember, Tiger Lane the year before, according to all the politickers, it was a loser's loser on money. So people aren't just going to have a loser just because it's fun and exciting.
Well, that's true. But the only reason, I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't think that cook-off has so much power. Now, I understand you got your ups and downs. I've been in cooking in the sanctioning bodies, and they have their ups and downs. They go to different venues, and I get that. But I just think Memphis and May is super special, man. And there's too many people that care about it and love about it just to turn the light switch off on that thing, man. I'm telling you, man.
Let's change gears, talk a little competition barbecue nonsense. Last week, what I'm calling the chicken incident of 2023 occurred on the worldwide internets. And I would like each of your opinions on this topic as well. Let me give you a little background. There is a butcher shop here in Cleveland, no names please, who actively tries to sell into the competition circuit, mostly KCBS. And on this particular day, they post a picture of 6 or 8 competition-trimmed chicken thighs. And it had a post attached to it saying something along the lines of, we're now selling competition-trimmed chicken thighs to those who want them, the knuckles off, the oysters off, the veins out, the skin scraped, and the weight is the same for each thigh. So minimal work would be needed by any recipient of these thighs. Well, this sparks controversy. Some folks are saying, hey, take my money. Other folks are saying it's a form of cheating, or that gives an unfair advantage to a cook that would otherwise be exposed as some type of charlatan otherwise. Mo, your thoughts on this most pressing issue of our day?
I don't give a rat's ass about that.
You don't?
No.
If I showed up to a barbecue competition, Mo, right next to you, and I pull out chicken thighs and you say, hey, Rep, how did you do that? And I say, well, I didn't do it at all. I went to so-and-so, and he sent them to me all trimmed and everything, and I'm just going to season and cook them up. You wouldn't think less of me, or that I was somehow cheating, or I was getting around the process, not the pitmaster way.
Because it's raw. It's not cooked. The whole magic is cooking. I mean, obviously trimming and doing whatever, but it's just a raw piece of chicken. Okay, it's no different you buying Wagyu or, choice. And I mean, it's just, to me, that doesn't make a difference. It's how you cook that piece of protein, how you finish that piece of protein, how you put it in that box. That's what matters. If you came in there and had all your briskets trimmed up by frickin' frack and fruit, so what? You still got to cook it. That's where it's going to happen. That's when the salt's going to hit the road. Just because you got 9 thighs or 12 thighs trimmed up, that don't mean nothing to me. You still got to put foot to gluteus maximus.
Bob, your thoughts on people showing up with already trimmed stuff that they didn't do?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. I mean, I would never do it because I wouldn't feel good about winning with that. You know, I like to do the work myself. But, you know, for someone else to come with pre-trim meat, I mean, they do that with ribs. You know, ribs are competition trimmed. I've seen pork butts trimmed down.
Well, so the same place that I referenced is actively selling money muscles only to a handful of competition teams in the KCBS circuit right now. By the way, their names both you guys would know. So there shouldn't be any deference given. Like, you shouldn't hate on the guys that are getting chicken thighs from this company, but they're also the same people getting money muscle. Like, one doesn't hold deference over the other.
Now, I can care less what other people do to get to a competition, but I just personally wouldn't do it myself. I like to do all the work myself. I like to have it perfected by me with my decision making. And if you want to, you know, compete that way, go for it. I can care less.
Right on.
But maybe you think it's a bit of a bitch move.
No.
I mean,
it's not a no from Bob, Mo. It's not a no from Bob.
I mean, for me,
I'm not saying it's a bitch move, but it's a shortcut. It's a shortcut.
No, man, I trim my own stuff. I do all my own stuff to myself either. But I'm not going to be spending some money, having someone do something for me like that. I'm just not going to do it. But, you know, if someone, and I'm a one-man team generally. So, I mean, you know, that would be an advantage to have to help me on the back end. But I still do it because it's not that difficult. Okay?
Right.
If your butt can sit down for 20 minutes and trim up some chicken, you lazy as hell.
I have all my chicken trimmed on a Wednesday before the competition, vacuum sealed, ready to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, I lay out my schedule and take the time to do it.
Let's stay on money muscle here just for a second. I'm not a competition cook. I think that's widely known. But I bought 2 of these money muscle only deals from the butcher guy in Cleveland because I thought, let's change it up. Instead of just doing pulled pork and ribs, let's do ribs and money muscle. Well, aside from talking about it a lot, and one time I was at a Sam's Club event when the late, great Rob McGee was cooking at the Hilton team, and he pulled out, first time, he pulls out this piece of pork. He said, oh, this is the money muscle. Slice it up in these medallions. He's like, here, put this in your mouth. It'll change your life. It's the best piece of pork I ever had in my life. I mean, he was one of the all-time greats. And, you know, all of a sudden it becomes commonplace, people turning in, you know, the money muscle, the pork medallions, whatever you call them. It's seen its, you know, ebbs and flows here where that's all people were turning in. And, you know, it seems to have gone back to some tubes and some pulled and some medallions, whatever. As a guy in the backyard, I get this thing and yeah, I kind of do my own trim on it. I cooked it right, was able to get some slices, but I would say about a little more than a quarter of the way through my slices, I'm running into, I wouldn't say a serious amount of fat, but it's stuff that didn't look like it was going to render even if I would have had it on the cooker for another 3 or 4 hours, or I blasted it in the aluminum foil for another hour and a half, whatever. What's the best way to go about trimming the money muscle to get the best slices, Bob?
Well, I mean, I take first of all, I look for a pork butt with a very large money muscle. And then what I do is where the money muscle, the top of the money muscle, I work my way back with a knife horizontal. And then I take a look at the backside. I just start to slice the backside of the money muscle till I get down. I don't take the tubes with it. So I'm not taking, you know, a piece of pork this big. It's more like a diameter of, you know, maybe smaller than a tennis ball. And I do a little trimming on the backside of that while it's raw. So I might cut into it a little bit, into some of that heavy fat, anything that feels hard to me, remove it, kind of reshape it with my hand, and then start to cook it. But even after it's cooked, you can look at the backside of that money muscle and see if there's any fat, some heavy fat lingering that didn't render. And you can take a small knife and kind of scrape that out of there. and not serve that. Take away anything that's unflattering or wouldn't taste right.
Mo, you mostly agree with that? Or you have a different style to the money muscle?
Well, the way I trim mine out. Well, first of all, back in the day, Bob and I both cook where you couldn't separate the money muscle. Now you can cook that solely. This is what it is. So I used to butterfly a pork butt, and I teach that in my class still, in barbecue classes. That I'll take that butter with that blade bone as I come up to the money muscle, the bottom end of that, and I would butterfly that out to where it looks like a hump, and then I'd get to about 170 degrees, and I would log out that whole money muscle. And like say, Bob, I like my money muscles large, and they're almost like a small tennis ball. But I'm only going to slice up to a certain, because they taper down. So I'm only going to slice, try to get 5, 6 slices. I like to get them off of one money muscle, but maybe I can't. But as you get, depending on the money muscle, there is a section that there's a big pocket of fat. But I think if you cook it correctly, like I'll take my money muscle, I'll log it out at 170, season up the back end where I logged it out, put it in a basket, and then 2 or 3 of them, and then I put them back on the pit to get that color all the way back around where I logged it out at. They're coming off about 192, 193, and I'm using Duroc, so I'm a big fan of Duroc, and they're right. Okay, and so you get to a section of that part, like Bob says, there is some money muscles that have a big chunk of fat going down the middle of that, but it might be halfway to the end of that pork, where you're going to slice it. I don't use that anyway. So you're obviously not going to turn anything in that's going to be offensive to the judges. So if it takes that you need to take two of those money muscles to get what you need to get 6 slices, so be it. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
you just got to, but you cook it enough, cook it right, it'll be soft. And obviously you don't want to overcook it because you'll cook all of that fat out of there, then they just fall apart. Now you got pulled pork. So it's just, you're going to run into that. It's not always that way, generally, but you might find like you happen to have one that had a lot of fat in there, and that's just what it is. But if you would have had 2 or 3 of it more, generally probably the other 2 or 3 are going to be just fine.
So this is a little bit of a lead up to saying, hey, by the way, if you like what you're hearing, we're talking about some competition stuff. We're talking about backyard barbecue and grilling stuff. Bob and Moe are also traveling this worldwide country of ours doing the Bob and Moe barbecue show, where they will teach you how to cook and give you all their insight. So if my research is correct, it looks like the next class is Frederick, Maryland on June 24th. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. Seats available, or are we sold out?
Well, we're technically sold out, but I just talked to the guys. We have 36 people right now. And I think we have seats for probably 4 more comfortably. So if we make it to 40, we're good. So technically 4 people can jump in and we'll be fine with that. But yeah,
do you like to cap a class at a certain size, no matter where?
Well, it depends on the venue and the cookers we have. If I'm driving with a big cooker or Mo's driving with a big cooker and we have a big venue, then we've had 70, 80 people. But this particular one, I think we're comfortable up to 40. And I'm not sure what pit we're bringing yet, depending on if my smoker is going to be ready. So yeah, anywhere between 30 and 50 is a nice size class for us.
Mo, if somebody's signing up, what can they expect as an attendee? What are they going to know and learn?
First of all, Bob and I have done a lot of cook-offs over the years. We've cooked in our backyard competition circuit. So we have learned, being self-taught, and same with Bob, we've learned a lot of tips and tricks. Our classes are geared towards more the backyard guy, but with some competition tricks to it. But what you get out of our classes, you get a lot of depth of knowledge of what we do. And it's just really common sense, but good information that helps people that are just getting in the game. trying to cook up, because a lot of people out there, they don't give a rat's ass about competition. They just want to make a better pork butt or better ribs or better fish in the backyard. That's a
Yeah.
win-win. Okay, not everybody, because we're both competition guys, and we know that stuff changes like the wind. I mean, hell, they jumping on this, they jumping on that. But for a person in the backyard, when you give them some skills and some techniques, that's something they pass down to their kids, their aunt, the uncle, the grandma, the grandpa. That is solid. That's what we want to do. You know what I mean? I'd rather want to teach backyard people more than the competition people. Competition guys, as I said again, they just change like the wind. They may be regimented in certain things, but then the next minute they're jumping on something else. I understand that, and that's all right. But because we've cooked so much and done a lot of cook-offs, we could speak that lingo too. And we give them tips that are competition tricks that they are just like blown away by, but just explaining the process to them. And it's just a fun class. It's a 6-hour class. We keep it fun. We have some great stories between Bob and I of what we've done on the circus, what we've seen, what we experienced. That's the whole ambience of the classes. Not only, we're not drab. As you know, I'm bubbly. Bobby's bubbly. You know, who wants to go to class and you sound like you're monotone, like you're in a library? Okay? You want to have some fun to it. You know what I'm saying? That's how we roll.
A lot of banter back and forth. And we do also gear our classes toward the people who are there that day, right? So we talk to people about their level of experience, and we encourage a lot of questions. So we will work individually and with the group on what the biggest bottlenecks are for people and challenges and how to get them through that and be successful.
I don't know if a lot of people know the backstory here, but I mean, how do you guys meet originally? Like, where does the relationship start, and where do you guys figure out that you have a good enough chemistry that you would go and do these business ventures together? Because I'd say, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, it seems like you guys are a dynamic duo of barbecue.
We have an absolute blast out there. Everybody can see that. We have a great rapport. We tell a lot of stories. We have a lot of laughs and knowledge. But Mo will tell the story that he used to call me, and I would never answer the phone. Is that right, Mo?
Damn straight.
For Barbecue Guru?
Yeah. When I was with Barbecue
Yeah,
Guru.
so back in the day, you know, Bob was at Barbecue Guru. I never had a guru before. You know what I'm saying? I had some ceramic green eggs on back of my trailer, and I'd call him, man, and I wouldn't ask for no freebie. I was just, I was kind of inquiring about him, and he would never answer my call, so I stopped calling. I only called a few times. So
Please.
I was at American. I was yeah.
A few times a day.
Damn right, you know what I'm saying?
There's this story, and then there's the real story. Okay.
Hold up. And then we was at the American Royal. I can't remember what year that was. But
2008.
I was at my and Bob comes up to me, man, out the blue, man. He looked like a little kid, and and I said, "What's up, man?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm Bobby T, and I want to give you something, man." I said, "Bobby T, man, that sounds like a pimp. What the hell you doing? What the hell you doing?" And he gave me a Barbecue Guru, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. My first time I ever got one of those, man." I put it on that egg, man. That thing ran great, and we just hit it off, man. And what I love about Bob and me and him, it's like we both have great personalities, and we're knowledgeable, but we're friends. And we're like family. I know his wife, his kids. He knows my wife and my kids. We are brothers from another mother. I mean, that's my brother, man. And our relationship has grown over the years. Bob, back when he said Barbecue Guru, he brought me in. We did videos. But Bob is for real. He's my ride or die friend, man. I'm gonna tell you, man, straight up. And he's honest. He doesn't have any ego. I don't have any ego. But he's a confident man for what he does, just like me. But we are friends, and I would do anything for him just like he'd do anything for me.
Absolutely.
Bob, do you remember that story that way, or do you have a different taint?
I mean, it was kind of that way, yeah. So I was the director of marketing at the time when Mo was calling in, and who calls customer service and asks for the director of marketing? So I wasn't always available on the phone for a phone call, but I did answer the phone a few times. And we would chat on the phone, and the rest of the story is the truth. We saw each other at at the American Royal, and maybe I felt a little bad for not answering all the calls, but I brought him over our new CyberQ and gave it to him as a gift, and he was taken back by it. I think we had a couple beers, maybe smoked a cigar, and became friends. And we did a ton of work together doing commercials.
Yeah.
For Barbecue Hero and filming, little mini series, cook series and things like that. So, yeah, great friends. He is an amazing guy. My kids and my wife love him as much as I do. Great family, and just hit it off.
One last question before we go to some promotion stuff. We've found that we are three of us are brothers of the leaf, which is we've got a passion for cigars.
Wait. Hold up, 420. What
are we talking about?
Wait, I said, which is a passion for cigars. Okay.
Okay.
Everybody, relax. Just relax, everybody. So
I don't get down like that, son.
We like premium hand rolled cigars. Yes. And I'm just kind of finding that out. I mean, I've known Moe to have one in his jaw there ever since I've known him, but I've just recently seen that Bob is also a appreciator of a fine premium rolled cigar. What's your brand right now, Moe? If you had one box to buy forever and ever, what are you going with?
Partagas number 4.
Ooh.
The Partagas number 2.
Number 2? All right.
Wow.
Done with that.
Yeah. I'm a big Cuban. I love Cuban cigars. I get them on the regular. My business partner out of
you hypothetically
Australia.
Get them on the regular.
Hypothetically,
yes.
I get them on the regular.
Right.
But I get them on the regular. And but as far as my regular cigars that I get around Liga number 9s.
Yeah.
That's like my everyday go-to. So I got them sitting up on my humidor right now, or in my humidor.
Bob, your one box, if you only could smoke one box from here on out, what's your brand going?
Well, I'll tell you, I love the Liga number 9 myself,
Yeah,
but when
same,
we were in
same.
Memphis in May, I got a box of Cohibas, and Mo, I don't know if you had one of those Cohibas, but they were smooth. I mean, they were phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm a big Cohiba. I've always been a big Cohiba fan.
Hold up.
What?
You just telling me that you got a box of Cohibas you didn't bring me now?
I was sitting in your site drinking a Tito's, and I handed you a cigar.
You didn't have me no Cohiba.
Yes, I did.
You had me a Backwoods.
No.
Somebody.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez, thanks,
sorry
pal.
about that.
Philly's
Well,
Blunt
I
didn't
mean,
want any of that?
I handed a Cohiba off to a lot of your teammates, and by the time I got to you, all I had was the Backwoods.
Yeah,
You didn't know
whatever.
difference
I remember
anyway.
that, man.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go now. You got the clown shoes on now. All right,
There you
Pennywise.
Back in Scranton, where I came from originally, they make a perotti cigar. I'll bring you a box of those.
Well, is it the cheese and onion tipped perotti cigar?
God, they're nasty. They're hard as a rock. All
right.
But, but Cohiba.
Let's do some promotion here on the way out, Bob. Aside from the Bob and Moe barbecue show that we're going to be having there June 24th, anything that you're up to or products that you want to mention to give you some promotion time?
Oh man, I'm up to all kinds of stuff, but always promoting the barbecue sauces and rubs, growing that line. My latest barbecue product is my Mama T's bourbon barbecue sauce that I named after my wife because she, with her love for bourbon, and that's been doing really well. And it's probably because she has to put up with me. That's why she likes the bourbon so much. But I'm super excited about my new dry pack pizza dough. Just add water. Bobby T's pizza dough will be available in about 5 or 6 weeks.
All right.
Very excited about it.
Mo, what are you promoting?
Well, I got a lot of stuff going on, which is great. I'm blessed. I've got a cookbook I'm working on that's backed by Nat Geo approached me for the cookbook, and that'll be out hopefully I think next year. We've already submitted the recipes. They loved them. 75 recipes, picture heavy. They've already shooting the recipes now. I was down in Austin, shot some for a little bit when I was down there picking up my pit, and so that's one. Second is I'm leaving to go cook for the Navy again in Dega Garcia. in July, which I've been there. This is my second time, which is an honor to go to Diego Garcia because that's a military island. There's no civilians on the island. It's just contractors and Navy and British. It's awesome to go and cook for these guys doing that. And then on behalf of the U.S. State Department and U.S. Embassy in Slovenia, I'm going over to teach a barbecue class and demo in Slovenia. They have a barbecue festival over there, and they specifically asked for me. So that's really cool to do that. And my rubs and sauces are doing great. They're in Academy, Ace Hardware stores, Hy-Vee, and getting ready to go on 400 Winn-Dixies. And I've got a new sauce I'm getting ready, going to be coming out, and it's my I-55 sauce, baby.
Woo!
Memphis.
All right. Nice. So be on the lookout. Their websites, respectively, Moe Cason, BBQ.com and Bob Trudnak, BBQ.com. What's the other website, Bob, for the pizza stuff?
It's all on the same website, Trudnak, BBQ.com. Okay. And then you can click a tab to go to Bobby T's Pizza Products.
Gentlemen, you've said it all here this evening, and I appreciate the time. It's Moe Cason to the top and the right of me. It's Bob Trudnak right below me, two gentlemen that I have appreciated for many years. Bob, as I've said before, aside from my wife, I think my longest relationship with any man or woman outside of her is actually with you. And it's something I certainly appreciate. And that's not why you got into the Guest Hall of Fame, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And I wish you guys continued success. Appreciate the extended time tonight, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, Craig.
Thanks.
Take care, buddy.
So there you have it, an extended time with Moe and Bob. It was absolutely fabulous, and I certainly appreciate them sharing all the insights right there, too. Talk to you about trimming a money muscle. Maybe that's putting you over the edge now. Maybe you want to go visit them at their class that they have coming up on the 24th in Maryland, Frederick, Maryland. 4 tickets are left. We also talked about Memphis in May. Nobody seems to think that's going away for good. Chris Lilly thought 50% chance it's going away for good. But they were very down on thinking that it's going to be returning to Tom Lee Park next year. It could be somewhere else. We'll see about that. If you missed it, don't worry. You get the podcast on Thursday, first hour tomorrow. And, of course, we have the best moments on Friday. Big show planned for you next week. It's the first Tuesday of June, so Malcolm Reed will be in. We'll also talk with Sam the Cooking Guy, amongst others. So how am I always leaving you? September 11, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Chris Payne from Euclid, Ohio, and you are listening to Barbecue Central.